The general sense around there is what right now?
Well, the wheels kind of came off. You're going to have to get some guys back healthy, that's for sure. I mean, the people that Tom Brady relied on, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, that trio is going to miss some time. And don't know how much time. Certainly, I think they expect them all back by the playoffs. But, look, New Orleans has his number and the Bucs number. They've won 7 in a row in the regular season against this franchise. Tom Brady is 0-4 in the regular season. They got him when it counted, and there's no question about that. We can talk about that game if you want to as well. But at the end of the day, this defense for New Orleans has Tom Brady's number and the Bucs number, and it doesn't seem to matter if Sean Payton's coaching or Kevin James or Dennis Allen. I mean, really, none of that matters. It's just they're going to beat their ass, and that's sort of what has gone on here. It's been 2 score defeats. These games haven't been close, and to see a shutout, I think, was most shocking. And even before those players went out, they were putting up the bagels. So, yeah, it was not a good outcome for them.
So you say they're going to miss time, all 3 of them. Walk me through what your sense of it right now is, Rick Stroud.
I think Chris Godwin's probably the most serious. He's got an MCL sprain. They're doing an MRI on him today. Haven't decided yet if he's going on IR. There's only 3 games remaining, so if they thought he was going to miss the rest of the regular season, they would do so. But they're waiting for some doctors to evaluate that. I think that Mike Evans has a chance to come back before the season's over. I don't know if he'll play this week. Those hamstrings are very tricky, but from what I understand, his isn't as serious as maybe Godwin's injury is. And then we'll just see with Leonard Fournette. He went into the game with a bad wheel. He had an ankle. He didn't practice during the week much. They're fortunate they got Ronald Jones, who hasn't, played much at all this year. Maybe he'll be this year's, Lombardi Lenny or playoff Lenny, and the tables have turned, and he'll get the chance to carry the rock now the rest of the way. But, those are the 3 guys, and Gronk, who had a horrendous day, that Tom Brady has leaned on during that 5-game winning streak to put them in position that they were in, but they weren't able to close the deal. So a little sobering, a little hurting right now in Tampa.
So this would be music to Green Bay's ears, that's for sure. Is it possible that the Bucs just figure out we can't push the pedal to the metal for the 1 seed? We won it from the wild card position last year, and we should be able to beat Carolina at least once and the Jets with whoever we put out there and let the chips fall where they may, seeds 2 through 4. Is that maybe the way they go about their business the last 3 weeks of the season, Rick?
Well, I mean, what I found is that, especially with Bruce's team, they don't hold the pieces back. They push them out there for every game because – you're talking about seedings. They drop down to the number 3 seed because Dallas, in a 3-way tie, has the best conference record for now. But they can still get back to the number 2. I think the top seed dreams are long gone. Green Bay's not going to lose 2 games, even if they went out. So they're probably looking at best 2 home playoff games, and then they'd have to go back into the frozen tundra, which they've done. And there'd be a lot of pressure on Green Bay, of course, to win it. But you can't count on no fans like they had, or 9,000 fans, and a balmy 34-degree day like they had a year ago. So that's the best case scenario, is that they somehow win these last 3, and Arizona and Dallas lose a game, and they somehow get back to that number 2 seed. But there's no question they hurt themselves last night, and they're going to take a tougher road in the playoffs when they get there. Assuming they win one of these, they just need to win one to win the NFC South and get 1 game at home anyway.
Tampa Bay Times, Rick Stroud here on the Rich Eisen Show. So 2 stories that you broke, by the way. Congrats on that and your hard work. It's not just you covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One in particular, though, involves a Buc and the fake vaccination card and all that business with Antonio Brown. I couldn't help but notice that we heard from Michelle Tafoya during the game last night that the Bucs were going to welcome him back, that he was not going to be sent packing, despite his behavior, is the only word for it. Why? What happened there, Rick?
Well,
this is before, by the way, the injuries. This is before everyone got hurt at the position last night.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah. Certainly, their opinion hasn't changed now, right? And so much for the last strike thing that Bruce Arians said when he signed Antonio Brown. It turns out that Tom Brady is the umpire, not Bruce Arians. And Tom Brady wants, Antonio Brown back on this football team. He's going to come back, and he's needed now more than ever for Tom to continue on and win these games. And anytime we asked Bruce about it, especially last night after the game, he said, those guys did their time. They deserve a chance to come back. Look, they get paid to win games, and it's unfortunate that Brown, has had these problems in the past and been selfish. And in this case, it was a very dangerous situation. The one thing I think people forget about the story is that he actually did get COVID in week 2 and missed the week 3 game in Los Angeles, which means he was sitting there unvaccinated around people like Bruce Arians, who's immune compromised as a 3-time cancer survivor, around guys like Tom Moore, who's in his 80s, and could have gotten somebody very sick or worse. And what influence, if any, he had on a guy like Mike Edwards, who's never been in trouble, we don't know. But they've certainly missed, with the injuries they've had, they missed Mike the last 3 weeks as well. But these guys will come back in here. They'll be welcomed by their team, obviously. They need them in these games coming up. And I just think that's the bottom line. They're not going to say no to Tom. They're not going to say that Brown has to pack it. If they're going to do that, and it was pretty obvious when he was suspended, they would have done it right away. It wouldn't have been one of these deals where, well, we'll decide that and kick the can down the road for 3 weeks. So we've always known he's coming back, and he'll be in the lineup and probably see a lot of targets on Sunday at Carolina.
Yeah, so he's back. This is it. He's coming back, and he's going to play on Sunday. And football-wise, I mean, what an absolute godsend that is. As much as I find it reprehensible what he did, lying about his vaccination status, football-wise, certainly with Evans and Godwin out, and we saw what it looked like last night without Fournette as well. Is there another kid anywhere in a practice squad that might come up and kind of dominate? I mean, we're seeing all these kids on the Detroit Lions make most of opportunities. I'm wondering if there's anybody, honestly, we see it around the league. Tyler Huntley for the Ravens. Who else might be there that we need to check out for the Bucs over the next 3 weeks, you think?
I think they're fortunate. The guy, you remember just a week ago, won the game in overtime
Perriman.
with a 58-yard touchdown. Brashard Perriman is somebody that had a tremendous final month of the season in 2019 with Jameis Winston.
Right.
Had about 500 yards in his last 4 games, and Bruce Arians remembered that. He had been with 2 teams this year, the Lions and the Bears didn't play him at all. And I think Brady took a liking to him. He's a bigger-bodied guy. He's incredibly explosive, from a speed standpoint. So they'll get him back off the COVID list. He was unable to play this week. And really, it's just time on task. Brady has been so focused on really just those, 4 or 5 guys have been playing every week. Obviously the 2 top receivers, Evans and Godwin. He got Gronk back, who was a big target for him, although he had his worst game since he's been here. And then Leonard Fournette has been doing everything. So because of that, these guys don't get many reps in practice. So we haven't seen O.J. Howard at all this year. We haven't seen Cam Brate except very sparingly. We didn't see Scotty Miller at all. He was inactive a week ago when Perriman was playing. So they're going to use this week of practice to get the rhythm and the timing and everything and the trust back with those guys. And obviously he has it in Brown, who I would think would be a very busy man, depending on how much of a load. He usually keeps himself in shape. That ankle's supposed to be better. So heavy work day for him coming up for sure. But that's it. And then maybe Keyshawn Vaughn, who's a running back that, didn't make very many plays, and they put him in some key situations because, quite frankly, Rojo got tired. He was gassed. I mean, he's not in game shape. When he ran that 30-yard run, they had some critical downs after that, and Vaughn had to go in, and he hasn't played all year, maybe 19, 20 snaps. So these guys are here for a reason, and they're going to have to get ready and play at a high level.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.